Let's go to our justice correspondent, Jessica Schneider, outside of the High Court. What is this ruling on?
This is essentially, Poppy, a major blow to public unions. This law, or this opinion specifically pertaining to an Illinois law. So the court saying today that this Illinois law that required all public sector employees to pay in with this fair share fee into unions, they're saying that that law essentially violates the free speech of these employees who did not want to pay in. This was a case that resulted from a man, Mark Janis. He said, I don't want to pay in for these fair share payments because essentially unions use these fees that I pay in. I'm not a member, but they're using these fees for political speech, even though they say they're only using it for collective bargaining or wage disputes. I don't want to pay in. What's interesting to note here is that there are 22 states throughout the country that have similar laws that require public sector employees to pay into unions, even if they're not a union member. So this decision today really a blow to these public sector unions, and this opinion has overturned a previous Supreme Court opinion, Abood in 1977, that said that these fair share fees were in fact appropriate. So the Supreme Court here overturning previous precedent from the 1970s and also saying to public unions, you cannot continue, if these employees don't consent, you can't continue collecting fees from these non-member employees to your union, and it could create real problems for these public unions, public sector unions who might not get these fees in the future, and of course that could dilute their power here. Poppy?
They won't get as many fees, I can tell you that, talking to union members across the Midwest about this issue. Thank you very much. Jeffrey Toobin, back to you. And my reporting across the Rust Belt, so many union workers and folks that work in these factories had told me that they don't think it's fair that they have to pay in to these fees if they are not supportive of it or part of the union, et cetera. But they were mandated up till today. This is a First Amendment case. How significant is this at a time when we were already seeing the decline of unions in this country?
Well, it's a real blow. This has been a long running fight at the Supreme Court. The union's argument has always been, look, you as a employee of this company are the beneficiary of the contracts we negotiate. We are doing your bidding. You are obligated to pay in. That argument was rejected. But remember, Poppy, this is another 5-4 conservatives winning decision, like the travel ban case yesterday, like the abortion free speech case yesterday. 3 opinions in 2 days, all of which illustrate how successful it was that Mitch McConnell stopped Barack Obama from appointing Merrick Garland and saved that seat for Donald Trump. Yeah. Many Democrats believe stole that seat for Donald Trump. Barack Obama had more than almost a year left in his presidency when Antonin Scalia died. That seat was held open. This seat, it went to Neil Gorsuch. And just in the past 3 days, we have had 3 5-4 decisions where the conservatives won, which they almost certainly would not have won if Merrick Garland had been on the court. Just an enormously consequential difference in the Supreme Court because of Mitch McConnell's decision to keep that seat open during 2016.
Again, no one can know how Merrick Garland would have ruled, but I can tell you this is why Mitch McConnell's team tweeted out that photo yesterday, right? Of Mitch McConnell shaking Gorsuch's hand and how consequential that all was. Jeffrey Toobin, thank you. I'm glad. See, I was glad you were here because we knew something important was going to come down.
But wait a second.
Yeah.
We still have to wait till the end of today's session at the Supreme Court because Anthony Kennedy may retire. Clarence Thomas could retire. I think those are the only 2. It's remotely likely, but it's not required. But there has a somewhat of a tradition at the Supreme Court when people retire, they announce it on the last day of the term. So, as they say on television, stay tuned.
Although I think Sandra Day O'Connor waited like 5 days, so you don't get to go anywhere for 5 days. Okay, Jeffrey Toobin. Thank you. Thank you very much.